Alright guys, welcome to day 5 of the bootcamp. Today is going to be primarily about AI. I've actually been preparing you for the past 4 days with the mindset and all of that just to get into this topic. Now, we're going to mention the ethics real quick before getting into the practical things to actually going viral. And we managed to make over 100 million views over the past few months, completely with AI. We did it the ethical way. So that's the best part. A few months ago, people thought you cannot do AI marketing without doing the pump and dump style, which is completely false. I've actually been saying this since the start of the year. They're only using one format. There's a lot of different formats which are yet to be found or tested. Some people tested new formats, including us, and that's what led us to the 10K day and to build a brand. So this is why this is important. You need to make sure you build trust if you want to be here for a while to build a brand. So you cannot really be doing the unethical style of marketing. Like, there's a fine line between ethical and unethical, to be honest. But I would say, just to give you context to what is considered unethical, is all these avatar videos of someone creating the product and basing the whole marketing around this person. So they're no longer buying the product for itself, but rather for Mark, who's marketing the product, the AI avatar. So that's where it gets, a bit further along this threshold of being unethical. Okay, obviously people have pushed this as well. So now that I've shown you, what lens you should have before getting to AI, now I can get you to the practical things. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the tools, and this is actually important because there's a lot. I would say the number one image generation tool, we're gonna actually divide it into images and videos. So for images, I still use Seedance. This is by far the best one. The main reason I went for this was because it had 4K images, but eventually they made the 5.0 with the 4K images. So I would suggest you try both. These are your best ones as of right now. Seedance is my favorite, and then comes Nano Banana Pro, and then GPT Image 2.0. Now, let me tell you what the main difference is, what I personally use them for. So Seedance is actually the best for anything that has to do with hyperrealism. So whether it's an avatar and so on, go for Seedance 4.5 or 5.0. If you want to make product or just branded images for the website, go for Nano Banana Pro or GPT Image 2.0. So that's literally how simple it is. For videos, we have Kling 3.0, which is, it can do most of the job, whether it's for products and so on, but actually the top one is Seedream, I believe. I may have mixed up between Seedance and Seedream. You'll figure it out once you open the app, and you get the access through Hixfield, obviously. So I think this is Seedream 2.0. So this is for the videos. This is by far the top for hyperrealism in terms of videos. So you can see who's the winner here. Seedance is definitely on top, and then it's Kling. But here's where it gets a bit tricky, is when you have to actually create the images. If you have like a bad image, you cannot expect to have a good video. So 90% of your work is actually done here in the image part. And that's why you need to have enough references, but also a really good prompt. Now, one of them could actually outweigh the other. So if you have a lot of references, by references I mean image references, then you don't need a crazy prompt anymore. And the opposite is true. If you have really good prompt, which is very, very specific, then you could actually get away not using image references. So I would suggest you try either of both sides, and it obviously depends on what you're trying to create. So for example, it's a product image, then you obviously need more images because you need to make sure that it is identical to your product. If you want to make it about, an avatar, then you could just be very, very specific with the prompt, and that's going to make you a really good avatar. So this is for AI avatars. You need really good prompts, preferably with JSON code. And then for the images, it's more recommended for products so that it's actually identical to the product you are marketing. This is actually the best way I could explain it. I don't think there's more to it, but the prompt is obviously where it gets even more advanced. So the skill cap to get a good prompt is what differentiates a beginner to an advanced AI marketer. Because the images, obviously, you can get a bunch of images of your product from your supplier and so on. But prompting is what makes it or takes it to the next level TBH. So you need to be using Claude. Okay. Claude is the best or my personal favorite. We can say that. For prompting, make sure that you give it reference to everything. Okay. I don't really trust AI to create me something without me giving it the direction. You need to give it direction to what you want to actually create. That way, it will actually give you what you want. So let's say you actually find a viral video. Instead of recreating it one by one, you could use elements of it as reference. And that way, it will create prompts to create images that are competitive to that video, but actually better. And that's where it gets really good, because you can actually create competitive original content without actually copying or stitching other people's content. So this is actually a superpower, and yeah, just expect to need a lot of references, which you can use or find online. Okay, so Claude is for the prompts. Prompting is not much required if you have a lot of good images. I've seen people do like the most basic prompts to create such insane images. I've actually done the same too. I wouldn't say like I focus more on image reference, because it's very important I get everything exactly how I want it. And I'm not gonna lie, the more you create, like let's say you have a lot of content, that's when it is very easy to just stick to that style of content, because you can just split frame one of the videos, get the image, and then use that image for your next prompt. So let's say this was a viral video. I'm gonna split frame it into images, take that image, plug it into Claude, say recreate this, but better by doing X and Y. And this is how you actually split test. So you're recreating your viral videos by just split testing and tweaking it a bit, making it better. So yeah, this is regarding the prompts and images and the tools. Now, for me to actually create content for you guys, I'm gonna have a separate day. I need to somehow not leak my product, so I'm gonna find a way, but it shouldn't be that hard. Or if someone wants, you could actually let me know in the comment section or DM me on Discord. We can do a live call. I'm gonna help you one-on-one to create your content, and then we can record it for a bootcamp day. So if you're interested, let me know. I can actually mentor you live, and that way we show the process of actually creating good content while, helping everyone. So let me know if you're interested. But yeah, these are like the basics, honestly, guys. You just need to make sure you have really good reference. Like, this all comes down to the planning. Like, planning today, it's always been important, but I think it's increasingly important today than a few years back. Now it's more about creativity. It's not about actually going out and recording anymore. So think about it this way. You still need the same amount of time to actually create really good content, but instead of wasting 2 hours preparing the lights and filming, you need to spend 2 hours scrolling and brainstorming, studying the market, studying the trends, thinking what should I actually create next, and then executing. So that's the first time-consuming part, in my opinion. The second time-consuming part is creating the images, because I'm not gonna lie, at least for myself, it does take me a lot of time to get it right, and I make sure that it's top quality. So if you want to use the 4K images, it's gonna take a while, especially if you do the unlimited image generation. It takes around 8 to 10 minutes in peak time to create the image. So you need to queue 8 images at once and then scan all of them. If something you like, download it. Otherwise, you have to repeat the process, waste another 10 minutes. So it does take a while. Obviously, when it's like rush time, I just spend points for it. But yeah, I would personally prefer to save the points to get as many videos as possible, because you need to be creating content every single day. So you cannot really be spending a lot of points unless you want to upgrade. So that's just like a tip for everyone who's struggling with the points. For images, another tip is using CapCut tools. It actually has an AI studio where it provides you like free points every day. You could use GPT Image 2.0, Nano Banana Pro, and so on to create your images. Now, personally, I prefer Higgsfield because I don't know if you have noticed this, but it does have like a memory. So the more you create something, the better it becomes. So that's not a coincidence. It just means that it tracks everything you're creating and it just improves. That's why I actually stick to, like, when it comes to marketing, it's always through Higgsfield. When it's branding for the store or the product or something like that, I use CapCut. It actually gets you some really good images too. It's just like the same tools, but free. So yeah, by the way, nothing sponsored here, just making that very clear. I'm just giving you my honest take on what is good, what is not recommended, and so on. So yeah, hopefully this was all you needed today. If I missed something, let me know in the comment section, but these are the general rules of what to create and how to create. Again, it's nothing crazy in terms of prompting unless you want to create like an avatar. That's where it gets, a bit more tricky. But perhaps I should do like a one-on-one live breakdown of how to create the content. I think that would be the best approach to this. So yeah, let me know. And if this was helpful, subscribe, join my Discord. You can let me know there. If you want to also be part of the team, affiliate team, let me know on Discord by DMs. You could be part of the, the insider team where you create content with us and you get the most sauce. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.